What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to episode 18 of Domicile, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary. Before Paul and I get started, I got to throw Purple Squirrel some love. And look at me, didn't have the overlay ready, but now we're ready. We're ready to show Purple Squirrel some love. They represent freight agents, freight brokerages, and freight forwarding companies. If you'd like to earn more, reduce your liability, and grow your career, you should have a chat with Ryan Smith over at Purple Squirrel about becoming an independent agent. They represent multiple broker and forwarding companies, allowing them to provide you with several career offers. You have options. Let them advocate on your behalf. So their website is below. We'll throw it across on a little ticker right here, purplesquirrel.llc. So you can learn more at www.purplesquirrel.llc. And what you have to do is their website's below, like I said, follow the intake form, which is listed in the comments, fill it out, and start your next step in your career with Purple Squirrel. So, Paul, what's new in your world, buddy? What's going on?
What isn't new? I don't know. I think last time we did one of these was, before.
There's a little bit ago.
Yeah. I hit Manifest up. I know you were jealous. I ran into some of the Revenova folks. Shout out to Revenova. Had a great time, great show. Came back. Then I had what we'll call it a 2-state, 3-city tour. For onboarding a customer, which is very fun, very successful. Very happy about that. And now I'm back. And the second I got back, I had it's my birthday, and then turned around
happy belated, bud.
Thanks, bud. And then turned around and caught a wicked case of crud and have been sick the majority of this week. But let me tell you, it's great to be here, Scott.
Oh, buddy. It's so good to have you back. And, lots happened for me as well since we last recorded. I think that's right, because I recorded with Nick last because you were traveling. And then we were supposed to have a guest who we're going to have back on. He had, a personal matter that came up. So Nick and I just ran with it, did a live show, actually, had a little bit of fun. Nice. But, yes, since we last chatted, lots happened too. The highlights being, I mentioned this in the live episode we ran, that I was in Mexico, celebrating my girlfriend, Emily, her President's Club. 2 years in a row now. She's done it about 5-6 times. So, again, just going to continue. Oh, my God, she's way harder working than I am. I hope nobody hears this. But, I think that's going to be a little bit of the theme today. I'm burying the lead a bit here, but I do think that overall the ladies do tend to work a bit harder, and we're going to be talking to one of them in a little bit. But it was just really fantastic to just see her in her element, celebrate her, have a free trip to Mexico. That didn't stick.
Don't bury the lead on that one.
Yeah, that was fun. Sweet catamaran ride. We got to go snorkeling. I'm finally getting used to that because I grew up around water a lot, but I never snorkeled, and I breathed through my nose.
Cold water, Scott.
Yeah, true. Not tropical water. Northeast kid. But I could go down a whole rabbit hole with this, but I won't.
Snorkeling up in the New England,
No, not much snorkeling in New England in the Atlantic. The balmy Atlantic. No, but it was cool because I realized they made us wear life vests. So this time, instead of being having to worry about floating too, which again I can swim. I grew up doing it, but I'm not a strong swimmer, I wouldn't say. Could get myself out of trouble, but not not winning any records. And so I didn't have to worry about the floating. And then I really realized because the mask always messed with me, a little claustrophobic kind of situation. But with the mouthpiece, you really just have to heavily breathe through your mouth. I'm okay, so I just have to be a Neanderthal. So that was a little different. But once I figured that out, it made it a lot more enjoyable. I got to flip around, check out some cool fish. There wasn't, when I was in the Bahamas with my family a couple of years ago, my sister and brother just took off after some turtles, and I was just flailing, just trying to figure out how to I couldn't breathe. Right, freaked me out. So it was cool to do that. And then we did a banana boat ride. We're on a little alcove against a mountain. Got some drinks at a bar there. Came back in, hit the pool for the rest of the day, and got another shenanigans the rest of the days. But that was probably the highlight for me. Lots of fun. She works with a lot of hardworking, great people. And just blessed to be part of that. To your point about being sick, when we got back, the next night we went to see Joe Coy, which was hysterical. It was so much fun. I wish I got to enjoy it fully, though, because about 3/4 of the way through the show, I started getting what I'd learned to find was food poisoning. And I'll leave it there. Nobody needs the details. But
Nobody-
what I didn't know is like it messed me up like all of last week.
Yeah.
Like even my mind was like not okay. Like I was not myself till about Friday afternoon. I only worked out once, so it was a very weird week, and I don't get sick much. So like I think I'm supposed to bounce back real quick, and sometimes I learned you just don't. I also lost like 8 pounds, so my body was not okay. It was the restart I didn't ask for, and would have taken it a different way, I guess.
Sometimes you gotta, you gotta. What's the old thing? Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on? Sometimes nature just does that for you.
It does, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. All I'm thinking about is you in the ocean and with floaties, like wings, is what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about you with a vest. I'm thinking about like some nice like Dora the Explorer water wings going.
Yeah, you said that because my girlfriend's Puerto Rican. That's not cool.
No, that's not. That's all right.
Come on. Everybody knows Dora's from like South America.
I don't actually know. We've got to figure out where Dora's from specifically.
She's Latin X.
There you go. I have no idea. Yeah, sure. But, I mean, I was going to say Paw Patrol, but I feel like Dora's what I had. So I don't.
Yeah.
Paw Patrol is a little bit over. My children's shows knowledge is minimal. I know that you look at me and you're like, that guy knows like cartoons
Disney
really well. That he looks 12. The mustache doesn't connect. It's a 12-year-old. Nope, an adult. I don't know him that well, but an adult. But yeah, no, Scott. I'm still thinking about you with water wings. Like I can't.
That's fine.
I might try. You think we could find someone to commission a picture of you?
Yeah, me. I just need to find adult ones that work. I'll do it.
No. I mean like a art. I want. You know what? I can take.
Like paint me like one of your French girls art.
All right.
No, okay.
No, I think more so like we take your face, we go to AI, and we go put this person in a snorkel suit with water wings on.
Yeah. No, shout out Danielle Chapin. She'll do that in 4 seconds.
He is kind of an AI wizard. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that would be funny. I think we should try that. Yeah. As long as we can find some adult water wings, I'll do it in person. But
we got to get the little ones.
Yeah. So we buried the lead a bit. I think maybe time to bring our friend in. Unless you got anything else to bring up, Paul. Nothing.
I'm still stuck on the water wings thing, so that's all I got.
Maybe she'll have some input on said water wing. So anyways, our next guest hails out of the Vinemont, Alabama area, where she's currently the executive director of safety, HR, and recruiting. Not a big deal for RE Garrison. And 2024 Influential Woman in Trucking Award as given or awarded by the Women in Trucking Association. So another big deal. She mentioned wanting to talk about this, so it's funny that I had this in the intro. She's a big supporter of Project 61, which is run by Jeremy Raymer. A fantastic movement that we at Domiciled are big fans of as well. She's no stranger to sharing insight on what it takes to become what is called a destination employee for RE Garrison's drivers. So today we're going to dive into learning about her and see what fun and interesting stories we can add to the canon, if you will. So please welcome to the show. I'm clicking all of the wrong buttons. Where is my overlay? There it is. Let's get rid of it. Bring her in. Tracy Rushing, what's happening?
Woo! So excited about the adult water wings.
That's what I'm saying.
So fired up about it.
She's in the water.
I know. I'm like Paul. I'm looking for how can we get this picture up online. I just immediately went back to driver appreciation this year, where one of our vendors sent a dunking booth to our truck yard so our drivers could dunk all of us for the week. Karen Hubbard is actually on our company Facebook page. She's our director of maintenance, and she's got on a full-on inner tube snorkel mat. And I have a vision now, Scott.
So she looked like me in Mexico.
I'm left out of the water sports. I got to get into the water sports.
Yeah, we got to get Scott. That's the mission here. We got to get Scott water wings and inner tube. You could look like Scuba Steve.
Yeah, or like Mermaid Man.
I see the vision now.
Absolutely.
Like Adam Sandler, Big Daddy.
Yep, 100%.
Okay. Absolutely. And then you come on down to Vinemont with us and get in the Dunkin' tank, and it would.
I was going to say, how do I get to the dunk tank? I'll show up. You think my company won't send me?
Yeah, I was going to say, can we get Dinosaur out there next time?
Yeah, I know a guy. You know a guy. I'm in. I will be the clown. I don't care. I'll do whatever.
And raise all this money for a great cause, because we can't, to generate funds for Garrison Gives Hope every year. That was the kind of the thing that we stuck it to driver appreciation, and that thing raised so much money. The drivers were like, 5 balls. Let me try to dunk the owner. Let me get carried. It was so fun, and it was just one of the fun things that we did during driver appreciation. But like-minded with the water sports. I'm so glad you mentioned Project 61. Jeremy's a great friend of mine. I'm excited that it's finally coming to life. Like, it feels like it's been forever in the making. We just had our first board meeting. Great collection of people from across several industries that have some really good ideas about how to push it forward. But I really think it's kind of taken a life of its own. So I'm really excited about Project 61.
Did you participate in the step challenge?
I did participate in the step challenge. I think I'm like bottom 4.
Okay, so Paul, so I don't know if you signed up or if Jeremy roped you in, if you guys have chatted, but like, so do you know what it was, Paul?
No.
All right, so Tracy, help me out with this. So like, you sign up for it. There's an app, right?
Yep.
So you track your steps every day. It just connects right to your phone, whatever you're using. And Tracy, tell them about some of the wild, like I try to get like 8,000, 8,500 a day. Tell them about some of the wild stuff on there.
So I literally gave up quickly, because I was like, these people are doing 20-something thousand steps a day. And there's all these inside jokes, like they stuck their Fitbit to the dog or what.
Yeah.
But it's crazy amounts of steps every day. And there are like 500 trucking people, not just drivers, but drivers, the me's of the world, the you's of the world are in there. And the amount of people who were over 5,000 steps a day was amazing. I was like, how are they getting anything done? But
yeah,
it was an unbelievable amount of steps. And so the rest of us were like, you can catch my steps when I'm going to Jim and Nick's for the cheese bits or whatever. So we were excited to participate because it was a great kickoff for Project 61. But some of that, just wow.
It was nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I wish I would have known that was going on. I spent the last 2 weeks walking around either a conference or million square foot warehouses running back and forth. So I probably wouldn't have fared too poorly. My feet definitely felt like I walked a little bit more than.
I love conference weeks for the steps. I was at R&R last week in Nashville, and I broke 5,000 3 days in a row. And I think my watch was like, find your iPhone. Somebody else has your watch. It's so funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Because generally I'm at the desk ready to work whenever our staff and our drivers come in, or I'm sitting in a vehicle going one place to another. But I definitely got my steps in last week. Conferences are really good for steps. So I think the next time we kick off a step challenge, I'm hooking it to like all the annual convention weeks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
You've got the inside track with Jeremy, so you can just tell him, like, look, this is when we need to host this thing so you can get up there. But I swear some of these people like had to be like runners and dock workers, because it'd be like 11 a.m. Eastern, and these people would have like 22,000 steps. My mom loves walks and works in a kitchen, and she'll like on a big day she'll do like 23,000, and this like it was like every day. Just people are doing this like
every single day.
That's so awesome, because if some of those folks, like you mentioned, are drivers, right? And they've got a little bit of motivation to get out and take those steps. I mean, Scott and I, talk about it a lot, but like we're both under the impression walking is like the best. Just moving is the best. Running's okay. If you're a runner and that's what you want to do, that's great. And, folks that want to do like a Stairmaster or this, but, if you walk, keep your heart rate low and burn a little bit, there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely. It's a great way to recover. I have learned more about low impact things that make big changes, small things that make big changes, just learning and trying to be prepared to talk about Project 61 at the driver level, which is, we think about that we want to be healthy, but we also want you to be a superhero and put everything we need and want where we need and want it, where we never see you. And you're not going to do that walking. You're going to do that driving. And so we've really kind of focused Project 61 on how do you recover from the job? Like if you're in the driver's seat 10 hours a day, how can we as a carrier and we as an industry support your recovery from that? I think that's probably a more attainable goal. It is for me to think about, like, how is my body going to recover from me sitting in the chair all day? And so it's really more about that than, like, becoming a fitness wonder. I think some people will do that. We've seen some of that in our own driving community, but mostly it's about being aware that you need to recover from sitting for 10 hours a day, because that's not a normal thing to think about. It's like, you think, I'm well rested now, set for 10 hours today. But, to realize that your body does have to recover from that, and just being aware of that, I think is what's really going to drive the change with Project 61 is raising awareness that 61 years old is not okay. So what Project 61 means, and the reason that it's titled that is there was a study that came out that said the average lifespan of a commercial driver is years old. That's what Project 61 means. And I love that your faces both said what my heart said. The minute that I heard it, I thought, that's bad data. Like, my initial reaction was, that's got to be bad data. And then just, a short distance between how I want to talk about Project 61 and that figure, my heart went, even if it's bad data, it's something like some spark, some fire made this smoke, and it's not okay.
Yeah, because even if it's bad data, there's an outlier there that's a group of enough of them where you're going, what?
Something happened where they measured it, right? Like, something happened where somebody said, this is a low enough life expectancy for a group of human beings. And I always, like, I've gotten a chance to talk about it just a few times, and I'm so excited about your show, because it's a good space to talk about it, because you are both passionate about your physical condition and the improvement of that. But to think about, it's an entire sector of our country.
It's such a big one. Yeah,
in
so
America.
important.
And one of the most important ones.
And so the first time I heard about it was near Thanksgiving, a little before, at the end of the summer, going into the holidays. And I was sitting there, I told Jeremy, I was sitting there at Thanksgiving, and I thought, everybody says their family's an odd bunch, but we're kind of an odd bunch. And I'm sitting there looking at how many people at my table are 61 or over 61. And I thought, everybody I know, like, most everybody in my professional circle is at or over that age. And, like, do I want to be making all new friends at 61 years old? No, we got to figure out this thing. So I'm very excited. We always say, if it ain't fun, I ain't going, no matter what it is, from a meeting to what, I'm just not doing it. Thankfully, trucking is still fun to me after this many years, just a few years in the industry. But Project 61 has given us so many things to do that are fun. At our carrier, we say we're the home of the Crown driver. It's a great incentive program about building good driving habits. And so our culture kind of lended itself to personal improvement anyway, even if it's about, your habits at the table, your habits at meal choice, your habits at rest, or your driving habits. And so right now, one of the big things that's going on around here is our onboarding manager, Clayton Dew. You've probably seen him out on social media too. He's a former Alabama state trooper, and he's like a fit guy. Like, he's a fit guy, like Scott, and just always ready to go, run, all the things. And I'm always ready to cheer him on and wait for him to come back. But he's working on the Crown Drivers Kitchen. And I'm referencing, so he's been sending us titles, and the drivers have been coming alongside him. And so it's going to be nutritious feast for the long haul. And the drivers are fired up about, like, look what I can do in my truck for a meal. Look how I can cook this, or how I can meal prep, and how I can have a family style meal with folks who are where I am along the road. And so I know that it's already a forward motion movement within our carrier. So I'm excited to see what this year does for the entire project going forward, because it is gaining some traction. So it's exciting. We're going to start some step challenges, Scott, within our fleets.
Okay. Oh, so you're doing it with internally as well?
Well, we just want to put some apples and apples together instead of and some 1,400 step people with some 30,000 step people. But It's going to be fun this year.
It will be fun. Tracy, you mentioned something as you're going through this. I'm starting to realize something, after kind of getting acquainted with who you were kind of before the show. And I'm starting to put together that you're really passionate about food and health and these folks exercise and things like that. And I couldn't help but notice that one of the first things when you look on your LinkedIn is safety. And, I grew up, my mother was a plant manager for a long time, right, in operations at some of the large food manufacturers. And I remember her talking about how important safety is, and safety goes beyond just the things you do in a building. And I'm curious how much of your passion for safety and compliance and all those pieces there, how much has that influenced you kind of getting into this Project 61 and really pushing?
It's a major driver. It's how I was introduced to Project 61. But when I think about safety, I think in our industry, you're going to find either customer-centric truckers or driver-centric truckers. Like there's two types of us. And so because I have been in this community for so long, I'm connected to these humans. And so their safety is paramount to me. When I think about how I'm driving in the public, can I keep my friends safe? And when I think about, I see you in an unhealthy lifestyle, maybe you had a shift in your life, maybe you went through a divorce, maybe someone close to you passed away, and those shifts show, right? Like those life things, they show in your dietary choices, in how you rest, in how you don't rest, in all the choices that you make. And I think about something as simple as entering my home, right? Like I have a real hard time distancing myself from safety ever now because it's been so long, but this is their home. It's their home. And if a driver puts on an excessive amount of weight or has a knee injury or all these things, just entering their home is unsafe. Like it's a safety obstacle for them. One of my isms is that my job, what I consider to be my job, is to create an opportunity. Everything I do is about creating an opportunity to be successful for the driver. Can they be successful in returning as good or better than they left? Can they be successful in delivering their freight for a profit? That's my job as driver support, to create those opportunities for success. And in doing that, like I'm not doing a great job if I say, you're limiting your opportunity to be successful today if you're making a bad health choice. And so the shift in me and how close I feel like I am to Project 61 is that if I'm not promoting Project 61 and the awareness that it brings, then I'm not doing my best at creating the opportunity for success. So I feel like with your mom, like, did she separate that thing at home? No, she told you to push your chair into the table at home too, because it's an obstacle for everybody who came behind you. And thinking about Scott and his mom worked in a commercial kitchen, I think he said, and like
grew up in the food business.
Point down, like just being a mom, but also being in safety. Like you just don't separate those things.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. I mean, I think hearing you talk about it, and I really liked your answer, by the way, because it is, I think, some of the folks that I meet, most of my customers are in the warehousing space, and a lot of the folks I meet are either in operations, logistics, or quality or safety. And one of the things I hear a lot is safety is not a checklist, it's a mindset. And when you see a building that's got 1,000 days since the last incident, right? That's because everybody there has a mindset. That's not because everybody's following a checklist, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And no accident.
No, it's not an accident. You don't get there on accident. But I think a lot of that, I really like this parallel that you're saying between safety and health, really, because you mentioned a really good point is, can they deliver that load for profit safely? And, there's a lot of folks we've talked to here and I think one of our favorite ones, one of the drivers said, my favorite words hauling flatbed are, if a driver says, I don't feel safe hauling this, everything stops.
That's right.
Yep.
You're gonna reload it. I'm not taking it, and you can talk to my safety guy because I'm not doing it. And I really get excited talking to people like that because we, in the era of social media, it is not hard to be scrolling through social media and see an absolutely horrendous, either an incident where a truck driver, right, is, all these situations, right, where sometimes it's on the driver, sometimes it's on, your traffic, sometimes on something that no one can control, right? Telephone pole comes down, things like that, inclement weather, acts of God, if you will. And, I just think about that all the time when I'm on the road because, here in Chicago, it gets pretty busy, right, driving on the highway. I really like the way you compared those things because I think they are really close. When you mentioned, this passion for your drivers, some folks that I've talked to, there's an idea among drivers that it's kind of profits over everything. And it sounds like what you're saying is if I do all the things right, the profit comes, is what I'm getting the feeling that you're saying.
Absolutely.
Did I hit that? And if so, could you tell me a little bit more about how
you did? And I think, we have kind of felt this shift of only 2 jobs in trucking. I'm really proud of that, is that you're either going to drive the truck or support the person who drives the truck in whatever capacity that is. I'm really enjoying this call because it's like the secret sauce of trucking, right? Like 2 things you got to do. You got to deliver your freight for profit. You got to return as good or better than you left. And then you kind of got to know your place, right? Like, are you supporting the person who drives the truck or are you driving the truck? And just giving that job the respect, no matter who the human is in it, right? Like both of those things need equal respect, but to know that the superheroes of retail, right? Like the superheroes of food, the superheroes of big screen TVs and all the things you love, you have an impact on that. If you are a restaurant owner and you see that big rig truck parked out there and your first inclination is not to run out there and say no truck parking, but your first inclination is to say, hey, we got a healthy choice for you. We know you're not going to be here but a minute. Probably not a safe place to park, but let's get you in and out as quick as we can. When we take responsibility for those everyday interactions, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Is like,
there you go.
A big truck, right, is a hazard. It's just hazard. It's just a big,
can be inconvenient.
Moving missile. And the person who is responsible for the safe operation of that has the same needs and wants as we do, right? Like I need a well-lit parking lot and access to the men's and women's room and a shower and a nap and, all the things. And I think as a culture for a while, we were actively making the job more difficult. We weren't interested in creating the opportunity to be successful. And I don't know that we thought that through, but I just think about decisions that I made, right? Like if I'm at Walmart and I don't put my buggy back in the buggy bin and I let it roll.
Don't get me started on that.
Don't get him started.
Don't even get me started on these people. I have a list of things. They're
a whole group of people, Scott.
They are. So Tracy, I have a list of not like written down, but like in my head, like I see things in life that objectively doesn't matter who the person is, but I'm like, whoever did that shouldn't be allowed to procreate. Leaving your buggy or your cart, that's one of them. Like you're automatically just disqualified. You have like there's kangaroo court. You have an opportunity to say why it happened, like emergency, kid was screaming, something. But like if it was just like lazy, you can't. No procreation.
Yeah. It's the perfect litmus test for if you're good because there's no real consequence if you do it, and there's no real consequence if you don't do it. But it's just because no one's going to come out and yell at you, but it's just the right thing to do. I think it's perfect for what do you do when no one's looking?
Yeah, it's character.
When no one's looking.
Well, and I agree because we think about that and we say that a lot, Paul, is there's no real consequence. But the truth is there's no real consequence for you.
Exactly.
Right? That's what it is. There's no real consequence for you. I think about Miss Willie, and I mentioned her to you in some of our questions. She was one of my mentors. She was a truck driver, and she was well into her 80s when she passed away. And she was a great friend to me, but she would always ask us, and if you heard me talking lately, she would say, are you being mindful? Like, was that mindful what you did? And that sticks so much because, like, don't be an obstacle, right? Like you don't have to contribute. Just don't make it harder than it
don't
has
make
to
it
be.
worse.
And so just right. And buggies make everything awful. They just do.
They're the
Because you
worst.
think about like why that guy put his hazard lights on and blocked 5 rows of parking, but well, because he can't get to the truck parking because there's buggies in the way. Like it didn't have a consequence for you, but it had a big consequence for that driver who is already tired, probably already not made healthy choices today, and it's probably not going to maintain 3 points of contact entering and exiting that cab. Who knows what's going to happen next? See what the safety brain does.
Look at going through. Yep, going through it like a habit. No, it's everything you've mentioned so far. I mean, really resonates with me. And the folks I'm lucky enough to call customers is it comes down to people first, and you can tell when you're in an organization it's people first. Actually, I think the best way, I heard someone say it recently, is there are folks who are looking for blame, and there are folks who are looking for outcome. And, those folks that are looking for outcome are people first. I don't care who did it, right? I don't necessarily care about scolding. I care about figuring out how do we get from where we are to where we're going to go. And it kind of reminds me of someone near and dear to me in my life that I used to overhear them say, I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to fix it. And that's what it is I don't want, you don't need to apologize. Let's just make sure it doesn't happen again. And you can say that with a smile on your face and give somebody grace, because like I imagine in your line, those drivers make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and it's all about giving somebody enough grace to make a mistake and learn from that mistake, and then maybe offer up some healthy alternatives or some, safer alternatives to that behavior, because you get more with honey than you do with loud words and loud angry expletives and other things.
I agree. We try to focus on that humans make errors, right? And only the hands that are not making errors are the ones not doing work. That's the only hands that don't make errors, and the ones that aren't doing any work.
I run into that all the time we
want to tell them, like, our core value, like hanging on the wall out front, it says own it, fix it, and move on. Just own it. Say, hey, this is what happened. Do you have a resource? Like, can you help me fix this? And then do better next. Just do better next time. There's so much freedom in that to have creativity in the workplace, to be productive, to have a community at work, is to just expect it. Like, humans are going to make errors. Don't do the wrong thing on purpose. That's the deal breaker, is that did you do, like, if it was done on purpose, that's a different conversation of like, we want you to be successful. We just want you to be successful somewhere else.
Exactly.
No, it's so funny because I say this a lot to customers, because I obviously working in software, and Scott, you know this too, is it's not about if something goes wrong, something's always going to go wrong. It's the same way. Something's going to go wrong. And everybody that some of these, folks that I know that are in brokerage, and you see a lot on the internet, people be like, oh, we're 100% this and that. I tell, customers that are looking for software in our space, haven't done it before. I said, look, anyone that says 100% of the time, they're lying to you. And, it's more about what we're going to do when something does go wrong, and how quickly we'll fix it, than it is about, if something will go wrong. Because you don't want to be that person that's trying to, oh, well, nothing really went wrong. Now they're hiding it or doing this. And because they're so focused on trying to be perfect all the time, you're going to make mistakes. And I really like the ethos you said there.
So real back to Miss Willie real quick. So you mentioned her. I mean, so drivers themselves are fascinating, right? We're the subculture that we're around. Again, they deliver everything that we've got, that we see anywhere, right? And logistics people know of them. People outside of logistics know nothing of them. But then again, you've got the female drivers, right? If you picture a driver, a man pops in your head, right? But there are a lot of women out there who are doing this, and it's I think it's a very different experience for them when we talk to women who have done it, which is only a couple, trying to get more and more. But tell us a little bit more about Miss Willie. Why did she stick out to you so much? Why was she such a good mentor and better friend? Like, let's hear some stories about Miss Willie.
So Miss Willie was around for a long time. And I think the thing that sticks out with me most is, so my kids were raised in trucking.
Okay.
Right. And so when my boys were in high school, it was time to get their first job. And so they were at our truck shop every afternoon. And I love that she was kind of on a down a day, back a day run, because she was around a lot. And she could take a trucking thing and make it so life impactful in a minute. Like she would say, you know, you got to keep those fifth wheels greased. Cause like what can a 15-year-old do in a truck shop, right? Like they can sweep, they can unpack the boxes, they can grease the fifth wheel, they can move things around. That's pretty much it. And she would say, because you have to take care of it, that you've got to see what you can do. What can you do? And then you got to do the thing you can do. Nobody else is going to do the thing that you can do. And she was a Jesus lover. We're Jesus lovers in our family. And we know that our mission in trucking is this is the fastest way to move the gospel, right? Like that's why I'm passionate about the industry and the job, and going to do it forever. I think it's the greatest job in the world. But she would say, this is what God gave you to do. You do the thing that he gave you to do. You take care of the equipment that he gave you to take care of. So the driver doesn't have to, right? Like when they do a tug test and their equipment's well maintained, it matters. Everything that you do matters, and there's no small task. Miss Willie would cuss you down to nothing and then bring you back up in a matter of seconds. She was the best trucking grandmother ever. But just things that I do all day, every day, that my boys do all day, every day, are wrapped in, what does Miss Willie say about this? Like, if I did this dumb thing today, what would it look like from her? And she never got outworked. She never got out tough. That's my personal tagline. If you've emailed me, it's in my email, is that she refused to get outworked and she refused to get out toughed. And she was careful to make sure that we knew that was us measuring, Tracy measuring against Tracy. Am I doing all that I can do today? And so she was just so funny. I think about trailer interchanges. You were talking about being in Mexico, and I literally yelled a minute ago, I got to make sure my passport's up to date, because there's some women in influential women down in Mexico that are doing some transportation things. And I thought about Miss Willie. So we used to do trailer interchange in Calexico, and it would be like 110 degrees in the summer. And all Miss Willie would drink was chocolate milk. And it was awful. I was thinking, how are you drinking this milk? And she would watch all of our other drivers come in and out and critique them. She critiqued
like people watching, but
critique the cleanliness of their trucks and whether or not they had. I'm like, Miss Willie, you are at the border alone, a 70 whatever plus year old female. So stop this. And she's like, girl, I'm just going to drink my chocolate milk and talk to you on the phone about it. Going. You got to stop. God. So she always wants to push you to be better, and she would say, your truck has the same sticker as my truck. You better get it right, because she didn't want to be associated with the ones who were getting it wrong on purpose. Yeah. And I hear Wanda sitting in the room next to me giggling. She knew Miss Willie really well. And there's not anything that we don't think about that. She made us better truckers. And she also instilled in us that you don't have to drive the truck to be a trucker.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like if you're at the desk and you're booking freight, or you're answering the phone, or you're giving out a comm check for fuel, or whatever it was at the time, you're a trucker too. And everything that you'll hear us say through conversation, like, I'm just trying to affect the price of milk. Like every decision that I make is going to impact the price of that gallon of milk. And it was just that simple to her. But how huge is that?
Very.
I make a decision at my desk today in safety, and it has a negative impact on one driver's profitability, that trickle down is straight to the household, not just their household, but your household.
Yeah.
And so, when we think about what our jobs are in trucking, there's no separation between me doing a poor job or not taking an opportunity to be the very, like, I heard Paul say earlier, like, I can get AI to do this. Y'all, I've been stretching my brain. We have Reggie, the chatbot recruiter now. He is a talking Freightliner, and he'll be going out into the public pretty soon. And, I was scared to death of AI to the point that I just said no for a long time. Like, we're not doing that.
I'm the same way. It's bad.
It is, right? And I was like, you know what?
No, it's bad that I felt that way.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's our choices.
Yeah.
Keep up or catch up. And so I'm so excited now that we went down that road, because fortunately, it's a competitive business. Some folks are going to be playing catch up, and I'm not sad at all because you chase Reggie down.
Yeah,
So,
I'm with you, Tracy. I mean, I'm 33 and I've been always, it's like, oh, it's Skynet, right? And then it's like, I'm just like, nope, it's bad. Like, we've seen this movie, iRobot as well. Like, Will Smith made one. But no, I went to an SMC3 conference in October, and the keynote speaker was speaking on AI, and he's one of the, like, I don't know the title off the top of his head, but he's somebody who's like in it. Like, he knows what's going on. He made it very relatable and very human. Just what's going on and what it's going to be, what it will do, won't do. And what I walked out of there realizing, and Revanova, we have an AI agent ourselves. We're calling it Artemis. And right now what it does is it helps, it takes emails, and it can, if it's a quote from a customer, a quote request, it can build the load opportunity. And if there's pricing attached, that customer can send a quote back. And also for loads, for carrier sensitive lane lists, it can create the capacity and the capacity within Revanova. And so, like, Paul was saying, when I was saying, like, yeah, it's so bad, he thought I was saying that the AI is, but no, what I'm saying is, like, it's bad that I thought that way, because you're right, you do have to keep up, and there are things it can do, because now, like, what we're pushing is that like, hey, allow your reps to, it used to be, hey, all the pricing's in one place, you can easily get a quote and price your freight. Now building the load and even quoting the customer is becoming unnecessary busy work. And it's wild, that transition. And just, again, I could keep going on it, but it's the world's changing. We have to stay with it. And that's just like October to December, that hit me. I was like, whoa. Or I get October through January. So
same time frame for me. Like, but the holidays to now, it was like, you want to be first. Like, we've got some great development partners who are like, you've probably seen Terry the trucking turtle. He's around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Our safety guy. And we had a 4-foot tall cardboard version of Terry, and they were like, well, what if Terry can talk? And I thought, like, he's cardboard. Like, I get AI, but I'm not sure. And so they had to kind of explain to me now, and now we have a talking Terry, and he
That's
talks
funny.
about safety things, and he kind of, it helps us make the serious things more fun, because who wants to do something that's not fun all the time? Not me. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to, if I can, you can tolerate the seriousness to a degree, because it is serious. Roadway safety, very serious.
Yep.
Because I'm on the roadway and you're on the roadway.
Yeah.
Very serious, but it should be fun. Like, we should want to know. And that's what I think AI is doing for us on our side, is that if you have a driver who's a daytime sleeper and a nighttime rider, and they got to take their 30-minute break somewhere, and they happen across a Garrison logo, and we got a talking Freightliner, whose ad you clicking on?
Yeah.
Like, and you know what Reggie knows? Reggie knows how many Freightliners we have available, and what week they'll be available, and who your recruiter could be. That's cool. So I appreciate him. And I think for my staff, it was kind of like, AI is going to take our jobs. No, AI is going to change your job.
Yeah.
Because you're going to come in, and all of the things that were overwhelming to you, sorting through what's a real app and what's a lead versus who meets our qualifications already and who doesn't. Like, you're only getting to the meat of it now. And so the buy-in has been really cool. So just talking to you, like, categorizing wins, like Project 61 win, AI win. This is a good call.
Yeah.
It is.
You bring up a really good point. My thought process is very similar. I think the first wave of some of this machine learning and AI, especially being in sales, was, how do I blast out more emails? It seemed to be the initial thing. And how do I call people, right? And have an AI bot do it. And what I think is people are starting to catch on to, or at least there's a certain group of people that I've chatted with that seem to think, how do I use this to automate away all the things where I had to act like a robot, where I had to do these repetitive data entry style tasks and information queries, and how do I get it to do that so that I can focus on the thing that drives the revenue, which is sitting and talking like we are right now? Because people, what I found more and more in the last few years of this is the more the technology comes out, the more folks in a B2B environment crave a human connection. They just want someone to talk to them and listen. And I think, a lot's changed there, and I imagine it's changing for our friends in brokerage. I imagine it's changing for folks like, in trucking that are, motor carriers. It's changing for everybody, but it really does feel that way. I don't know if it feels the same way for you, but that's kind of where
it does. I'm echoing what you're saying. Is like, from when we sit down and talk about it, we had a planning meeting for it today, and I think our concern is that it does. Great words is that from you we want it to do all the things that we were doing that made us feel like a robot, but at the same time we want it to do it like we want it to use our branding, our color scheme, look like us, feel like us, talk like us, do the things like us. And that, y'all, it's amazing to me. And then you just watch the thing learn, and I'm thinking, that kid's mom who made that thing do that has got to be the proudest human alive, because it'll send me a little message. Hey, my memory's been updated. I'm like, heck yeah. What
I wish my memory would update.
What they tell you, but it's so transparent. And I think that's been the surprising thing to me, is like that it is so transparent. And great job to the people who come up with those ideas. I felt like it was going to be like iRobot, right? Like Cindy in the sky was going to lock me out of the house or whatever, block my drivers. But it really is so transparent, and it puts things that we thought about into a way that we can take action on it. Like we were just so overwhelmed, everything we were grabbing, and we were just overwhelmed, like death by data. I heard that, and it made sense to me when I saw it. I was like, well, there's 85 comments, and 17 of them look alike. I'm going to worry about those 17 things first, and then the rest of them, who are one-ofs, we'll let Reggie Wheels talk to them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny you say that. Scott, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, no, I mean, I like what your stance on it, Tracy, with it's going to help us, not take away from us. And I think we're all on the same page there. And yeah, we're coming around the corner with it. So I'm excited to see what it does in the next few years. According to the guy,
I will tell you, Scott, though, that Miss Willie would revolt. I talked to her, I would not have won the vote with Miss Willie.
I am team Miss Willie. And to that point, you mentioned to us, you spent about 30 years in the industry. What are some of the things, we've got to get some, we've heard Miss Willie. I mean, I think that's like setting the bar probably too high for any further stories, but like, what are some of the things that really do stand out in dealing with drivers, working with drivers that are either, just fun or a little crazy or maybe unbelievable? I mean, I'm sure you've got a wealth of them, but maybe what are some few, as we wrap up, what are a few that really stick out to you that you think are extra entertaining?
There aren't any that aren't entertaining to me. I think about the things that are amazing to me, and the things that are that stick out to me are, there aren't a lot of hours in the day for a truck driver to have a hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for them to have a hobby. So when they come up with a hobby, it is both feet in, all in. Everybody's going to pay attention to this kind of hobbies. And I just think about the things that they come up with. One of the big things that came up with this huge truck show in Atlanta. That's like a 2-day concert truck show, shine your truck show thing.
Nice.
It's so fun to see them like figure out how to fit life into this job that is every single day, all day long. In safety, probably the wild and outlandish things get not told to me as much as anybody else, because they're like, "Oh, I want to go to have a conversation with the safety director." But the way Terry was born is my favorite, is my most recent favorite trucking story. And so, Dr. Gina Anderson, she's a great friend of mine in the industry, and she is the mom of Luma Brighter Learning, if you've ever seen them. And so mascots have really taken off in our industry lately. And so I think about our driver and the things that we do to them, right? Like, that if they can laugh off the things that we do on the roadway, I'm so proud of them, because we are not great drivers. Like, we are not great space sharing people. So the way Terry was born was, one of our drivers was coming up through Florida, and you see him on the video, right? Like, our cameras in our trucks only collect when the truck reports an event, like everybody else's. And so you see him going along the roadway, and this Honda CRV is going down the roadway, and you see a Florida DOT truck going by. And all of a sudden, the Honda CRV comes to an immediate stop. Just stopped and you need about this much space to stop a CRV, like that much.
Yeah, exactly.
And she stops. And you
yards.
see the Florida DOT truck go by, and because you're immediately thinking like, why didn't he take the left lane? And then you see the DOT truck go by with the yellow flashers on, like picking up cones or whatever. And thank the Lord he was there, because there would have been no other explanation than we overtook this car from the rear, right? And so he's going by, and in between the vehicles on the replay, you see this turtle going across the next lane of traffic, and you hear our driver say, she stopped for a turtle. And I just said, sometimes you just got to stop for a turtle. And so Terry the trucking turtle was born. And that's my current favorite trucking story. It was a roadway incident. No injuries. Everybody was fine.
Good.
The Honda CRV did not look the same. But
just
think about how, what was going through her mind, right? Like, she'd probably been to Costco and she had, the pretzels or whatever, and then the turtle, and absolutely no regard for the rear view mirror. But that reaction that you hear of this driver going, the day the CRV came to visit in my living room, like inside the cab of my truck with me, and all you hear him say, she stopped for a turtle. And so that's how Terry was born. That's my favorite story right now. Tomorrow's a new day. We'll have a new roadway adventure tomorrow. But I'm glad that as you can take those things in stride, always, if you could come away from a roadway incident without an injury, it's a good day.
It's a victory.
Turtle, however.
How was the turtle? Was the turtle okay?
It's Terry. But we have adopted Terry the trucking turtle. He is alive and well at Garrison. One of our other vendor partners actually adopted our safety department, a turtle in Kenya, and we get social media updates on our turtle. So Terry's pretty famous now. It's a big deal.
Is that why the turtle's behind you there?
Check your rear view before you stop for the turtle. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, the one behind her is the original, Paul. It's just the shell and the skeleton. Maybe scraped it up off the road.
So that's a scary Terry down here in the South.
We have a scary Terry.
Halloween Terry. He's a scary Terry.
Scary Terry.
He's scary.
A scary Terry. Let's see. I have a little Terry right here. We have a 4-foot tall version of Terry. We have the Shell Awards. Our safety department wins Shell Awards every year now.
I like it.
So we have a Terry the trucking turtle, and that's Mr. Terry.
She stopped for a turtle. That's what that says. Oh my God.
So now when we have to coach an event, instead of saying, "What were you thinking?" we say, and the driver goes, "Not today. We're not doing that. We ain't talking about that today."
Oh, that's funny. My God.
But it has really built a lot of camaraderie within us to have a common theme that was born of a roadway incident. Drivers like, we get it, right? Like, what are you going to do? We want you to be free and feel comfortable. What are you going to do? You got to be prepared in every incident. I mean, he had a seatbelt on. He wasn't on his phone. He, all the things. The truck helped, brake assist helped, and so it's really a good story for us to say, we're doing all we can do. We're coming along the roadway with you as closely as we can. Sometimes you're going to stop for a turtle.
Yeah. So that reminds me of just piggybacking off that real quick. That reminds me of when I was in driver's ed. We had my sister be cracking up right now if she heard this, because we had the wildest dude. He was actually the gym teacher at my local grade school. It was Joe Thibodeau, Mr. Thibodeau. Shout out, Mr. Thibodeau. He was super sarcastic, and it's like, as kids, like, you didn't quite get it, but like, he would break kids' chops all the time. And it was looking back as an adult, that was hysterical. But he was a great driver's ed driver, because he's very practical, very realistic. And he had a rule: if it's under 30 pounds, run it down. was his rule. Like, I gotta write that one. You can have it.
Under 30 pounds, run it down.
Run it down. He's like, turkeys, small deer, turtles, like because like if you stop, like to your point, right, the woman or person stopped in the CRV and the truck smells way worse than unfortunately taking out a turtle, and the turtle still got smoked anyway. So, but your reaction is to like stop. But yeah, that's what he said. Under 30 pounds or run it down.
Yeah.
You're going to hear Terry the Trucking Turtle saying that in a training video pretty soon.
Oh, when it happens, please send me that. Send us that. Oh my gosh, that's just
we'll play it on here. We'll play it on here.
Oh, well, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll figure out how to do it. I think I just have to share the screen and play it. But Paul, any last questions for Tracy before we let her give her shout outs and let her grab some dinner probably?
Yeah, I mean, Tracy, the only thing I'd like to say is one, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed your personality and kind of your passion for this. I think a lot of times, sometimes we talk to folks and there's a lot of doom and gloom in the industry. I didn't hear any of that today. That makes me really happy. I'm kind of an eternal optimist when it comes to things. So, I think no matter how bad it is, it won't be worse. It'll just be different, right? Is how I kind of look at it. And, I really appreciate that. And I guess, you've talked about some people that were influential here, like Miss Willie and things, and you've had quite a career in this so far. And it sounds like you've got a lot more impact to make. I guess my question I ask everybody that comes on here it really is important to me because, Scott and I, our careers were kind of made by stumbling into this industry that most people don't know about. And I guess my question is, what would you say to young folks right now that are figuring out, am I going to go to college? Am I going to go not go to college? Am I going to go be a driver? Am I going to go into logistics? Maybe get a supply chain degree? Anything like that? What would you say to the young folks coming into our industry now if you had one word of advice for them?
Be a trucker. Just be a trucker.
She says be a trucker, folks. So
be a trucker.
We've had people say, don't do it. Like, don't get into it. They're drivers, right? Like, not right now. Don't do it right.
Sounds like they need to be driving with Garrison.
The thing is everything we deliver, folks still need it. Folks still want it. They may be paying less for it, but they're still going to need it and want it. I mean, and this industry allows you to choose to be a superhero, right? Like, you get to deliver what we need and what we want unseen if you do it well. And I just think have fun, do a thing that you love. I think it's the greatest job in the world. I have people tell me every single day that I'm skewed and all the other things. I wouldn't do anything else. I think it's not rocket science. It's hard work. And those two things are different. If you're thinking about coming into this industry, I think the key to being successful in this industry is building your network as fast as you can. Have a strong network because this industry will afford you so much grace. Build a network. I say that all the time. If you're like, why is that important? Well, in this industry, I have friends everywhere. My kids are never alone. I am never going to be alone. I always have a person to call. I always got somebody to have dinner with, no matter where I am. So, and it's just, we're so resourceful. I think about you said something earlier about a Conestoga, and I love that kind of trailer because that's where we started, right? Like with a covered wagon. And look how innovative we are in trucking. I'm so proud of our industry. So build your network, be a trucker. That's all. That's the secret sauce.
And sometimes you got to stop for a turtle.
And sometimes you got to stop for a turtle.
I love it.
Not according to your driver or Mr. Thibodeau, but
30 pounds to run it down.
Run it down. Oh man. So hey, to everyone listening, well, first off, Tracy echoing Paul, thank you so much. And to everybody who's listening, made it this far with us, please be sure to check us out every other Tuesday. I've been starting to think it's almost time to go weekly. It's just a matter of if I, just a little less grace for Paul and I, if so, but we're thinking about it. But anyways, every other Tuesday, check us out at What's Domiciled on YouTube and Spotify for full episodes, and YouTube and Instagram for the reels, which I am getting better at. So anybody who does watch them can't give me crap about saying, where's the new ones? I'm getting better. Created a plan. We're there. So we really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.